we are going to discuss on API management, in-app extensibility, and SAP S/4HANA public cloud extensibility. Okay, as I said, now like we will be discussing about first of all the API management. Okay, so on the API management, basically now we have to concentrate on few of the important things here. So on the API management, as I said earlier, right, I'll be discussing first of all, because this all involves a lot of things into it. So first of all, as part of that, like I'll show you as an API management and cloud edition extensibility options, right? We will be seeing testing some of the, first of all, I'll be discussing about this API management. So before API management, we have to see some of the integration suite. Okay, that is called SAP integration suite is there. I'll discuss about that. We will be seeing more on the MMFI and all the other integration, then you will see that more into it. But a basic introduction is that for API management, also for integration suite. So I'll be showing that one to you. And then we will be having certain API architecture is there, okay, that we will be discussing as part of that. And then some common metadata uses will be there in APIs. So those ones we will discuss. And there are certain operating modes for the API architectures are there. So these are things we have to know as part of the API management. Okay. And then there will be some common APIs will be there. So that APIs you have to see. And then managing the API, especially on the API management, you have to see how you can create an API provider. Okay. How you create a API proxy, and then how you use the policies on APIs. So this is what we will be seeing as part of the APIs. Okay, and rest all things are there which is not required for you at this moment, because it is more into for the people who are in the BTP SCAP stack, who can work on the BTP side by side extensibility, all these things they will do that. But for you, API management at this level, this will work for you. Okay. And we have two more extensibilities we are discussing today, right? One is in-app extensibility, another is your side-by-side extensibility. So in-app extensibility, I'll be explaining you a small thing. It's both two are very simple things. So I'll be explaining you those two things here today. Okay, on the side-by-side extensibility, we will be seeing some testing APIs in the SAP Business Accelerator Hub. How to activate the APIs, like how you can test the APIs in Business Actor Hub, how you can activate the APIs in cloud, how you can create your free SAP BTP trial account. I'll show you that. How can you set up your mock server? So till that level, I'll show you in the app extensibility. Okay. So with that, we will be covering this API management and extensibility options as well. Okay. And yeah, let me show the system for you. All right. So let me go into this. Yeah. So on the API management, as I said earlier, when I start with this, so we have very importantly, before API management, you have to know the SAP integration suite. Okay. And SAP integration suite has different kind of distributed, different ways of classic architectures are there. Okay. And there are challenges also which are included in it, because whatever the architecture that you build for API is also right for the API management. So that will be also there in this particular integration suite. Okay. So today's session will have less demonstrations and more into these topics will be there. Demonstrations will be there side by side, but no more topic will be there. The topics are like that. Okay. That's the reason I have to discuss more into it. That's what I'm giving a heads up on that. So now we come to here. This is which you are seeing right now is a distributed architecture. Okay. So in the integration suite, this is one of the important thing. If you can see, the distributed IT system is a main paradigm for your any business information systems. Okay, so this particular whatever you're seeing, this is a distributed kind of architecture only. So this is a any IT system which is on distribution kind. It will have many subsystems will be there. Like they are coupled together. Like this, we can see here. We have point of sales here, we have social media payments. There are many things are there. From the downstream, you have customs, your credit checks, SAP S/4HANA, unstructured marketing, a lot of things are there. So these two are all coupled in your network, private and public clouds, right? So in the similar way, as I said, like this distributed IT systems will always comprise different components that they will be joined together in a framework. Okay, so and these special architecture in this, all the tasks will cooperatively work and they will do the assigned activities. Okay, this is how this distributed IT architecture generally works. In contrast to it, we have one more architecture in the IT system which we call it as monolithic. So that is completely bundled, like centralized. Okay, so the logical distribution of the system functions generally may on the many components, they can be easily accompanied by different decentralizations systems in the computer network. Okay, so if you can see here in this architecture itself only, you have many customer landscapes are there, like you can see many different technical systems are there, they are communicating each other like this through your public and private cloud, right? So there will be many challenges also when you are going with this kind of distributed IT systems, because due to heterogeneity, this will be expensive, this will be complex. Implementation challenges will be there during releases. Error identifications will be problematic. Latencies will be there. Security is a constraint. A lot of things will be there. Okay, when you go for distributed management. But we cannot deny this one because distributed IT is one of the major demand across the globe. Okay, but when challenges are there, you have to overcome the challenge. Okay, so one way to overcome all the challenges is the using of API as a first approach. Okay, the whole story why I'm telling all this thing is for the API management to land on. So API first approach is one such approach wherein which for all distributed IT systems, whatever the challenges are there, it can be overruled. So how can I overrule? Okay. Okay, fine. I said API will, how can it overrule? Because in API first approach design methodology, generally, we primarily focus on the development process. Okay. And then rather than designing the application programming, we will design the application programming interfaces, which we call API. API stands for Application Programming Interface. Okay, before any other aspects of the software solution, you will do with this. So this approach generally, like it will provides a, like creating a well-defined programming code that will be giving a robust type of methodology called robust APIs, which will meet the all the needs of the developers and integrators, so they can easily build the applications and services across the integrations. Okay, so when I'm saying this API first approach, let me share my notepad. When I'm saying this first approach, there are on the API management, we have to know what is this API first approach, first of all. Okay, there are many things are there in the API first approach. The first one is your design centric approach. Your API designs generally, whenever you design, right, that will be your main central part of the software development cycle. Whenever any architecture you take, cloud architecture especially, your APIs will be this major central part, hard kind of things, which you cannot do anything on top of it, because you design decisions will be on more prioritizing will be there. Your consistency will be clear. Usability for the end users also will be taken. When they are using the APIs. That is why all the why we have to go for APIs is all design centric. Your APIs will be your design centric, will be your central to everything. Okay. So this is one such part. And most importantly, why we have to go for APIs is iterative approach that is there in the APIs. Means developers, basically not you and me, because we are all functional consultants. We won't use much of the APIs. We can only leverage them whatever available, and we can just see them what it is. But to develop, the developers generally do the API development, like in the front end, back end, the full stack teams. These guys generally write APIs on top of that, right? So generally developers use those, they can iterate on the API design based on the evolving requirements that they're having it. So aiding to, like from front to back, back to front, they can have They can use the same API again and again. They don't want to rewrite. Once an API is written, they can use it n number of times. So like a subroutine. And we can use them a number of times, like a function module. Wherever the function module wants to be used, we can use it, right, in our ABAP's perspective. I'm just telling you. So like this is a more of iterative development, iterative approaches where it can save the time of the developers and also save the architectural design challenges in the applications also. So this is one of the other advantages, why we have to go for API management. And more on which we have collaboration is there on the API management, because wherein which the front end, back end, mobile, third party, whoever developers are there, they can consistently and concurrently work and sync between them because of APIs. See, collaboration in the sense means, from front end to back end, when you are doing anything, the API is the one which is taking your data from to here, and it might pass back to here also, right? So it is making that communication establishment and you're making a collaboration seamless between the systems. That is what collaboration is for. Okay. While this collaboration is happening, it will do one more thing, which is called scalability and flexibility. So it is scalable, it is flexible. There are no constraints on top of it. Okay. And there are many things are there on the developers, like using the software development kits like .SDK, Java SDK, ABAP SDK, like .NET SDKs. There are many SDKs are there in which, that comes to more of developer guys. For our functional, we have to remember only these things. There are n number of aspects are there in APIs. API is a very big subject. But who are on a more technical programming kind of guys are there, there will be more use for them. But for us, it is limited at this point. Okay. And more important is these APIs once has been, there in the system, this will support the ecosystem's growth also, because as a API is once designed with its approach, it can easily foster the ecosystems around the platforms, like different services, integrations, partnerships, innovations, anything it can do. Okay. We have seen that, right? Even I am there in this industry out of last 20 years. I have seen APIs. We have two APIs when I have started my career. It is SAPI and BAPI. So for all SAP to SAP, we use SAP application programming interfaces. For non-SAP to SAP, we used BAPIs, right? These are the two things which were there earlier. But later on now, when the new technical evolutions came, many kind of APIs has been generated. And because of APIs only, even you're seeing these styles, the Fiori front end, more collaborative, more intuitive. Why? Because of APIs only. APIs are the one which are working in the back end for you when you are clicking or retrieving data or doing a parse, anything. All backend APIs work there. Okay, this is how a small story about that. So the total bottom line is here. What is the explanation that I've given you? For any distributed IT system to work without any challenges, they have to go for the API management approach. The first one I told you is the first approach, which is called API first approach. Okay. So I told you what is this API first approach. So this is the approach to design the software that focusing on the application to create the application seamlessly without any challenges is what your design first API approach. Okay. So now I told you what are the APIs and you know what are the APIs. Basically, these are the two APIs which I told you, right? SAPs and BAPIs. Okay. So there are many types of APIs are there. I can show you right now. Hold on for the screen. Let me get this for you. So if you can see here, these are the different types of APIs that we have. If you can see, you have an object-oriented API, basically. Okay. You have REST APIs, you have SOAP APIs, you have push notification APIs. Okay. These are you have remote APIs, messaging APIs. These are some of the main kinds of APIs. There are n number of APIs. I can't type them. Types are innumerable. Okay. And then we cannot guess also, but yes, for our considerations, what you have to learn is the OO APIs. This all comes from your object-oriented language, either from Java or from your other ABAP, OO ABAP or kind of stuff. Whatever you write includes on top of that. And you have database APIs, which will retrieve databases for the connections and where it will establish connection to your platform. And from there, you can leverage those APIs also. That means your third-party data sources, when they're traveling to our internal environment, we have to use it, right? So for all that, the APIs will be the working sources for that. Okay. And message APIs, all messagings, alerts, notifications, all these things, these will take care. For further to push or pull, this pushing notification API will work. Okay. For all remote kind of stuff, when they want to connect and put that right, and URL and web-based things, the SOAPs and RESTs will work on that. So like that, there are n number of APIs that are, majorly like beyond the architectures. Okay. Very importantly, the remote APIs are the one which is the very important, because today's importantly, we are using lot of web applications. Everything we are opening, even public cloud also, what we have seen, we are opening on web URL, no landscapes, right? So for APIs, when you want to make something on the cloud environment completely, you need these two, REST and SOAPs, as I tell, itself, because there are a lot of protocols will be there, and then you have to run a software architecture cycle. All these things will be there internally in this API architecture. So this will be helped for you while you're doing this API management. Okay. And as I said, again, for REST APIs, you have RESTful services are there. Okay. That is more technical. I don't want to go more technical. So that way in which we use the Odata, Graph, all these databases there. Okay. Right. So the first and basic important thing is, how to design the API. A small thing about that, how to design the API. I'll show you the testing of it, because you won't write an API, but you will use an API. Okay. How to design API, small thing just for your knowledge. So you will be having a web service will be there basically. So for this web service, okay, you have to, for any web service, when you are writing an application, right, or when you're writing certain requirement that you want to be done in the software. So you have to describe the functionality for this. You have to describe the functionality for this. So when you have a web service, when you know what functionality you want to describe to this web services, then immediately what you have to do is you have to choose a language for this. On which language you want to describe the functionality to this website, because web service understand what an API language. Okay, basically. So to on the web service, for example, if I want ticket servicing is there. Is one such app I want to build. That is what it's a functionality, right? Ticket servicing is a functionality for me, wherein which I have to deploy in the web service. So when I want to do that functionality, I have to do something, right? What is something? You have to write some code. So for that, you need a language, right? So that language, you have to choose it first of all. Okay. So basically, this will be on XML based only, or else if there is any other language they have written, they will be converting it to XML. Okay. And based on that, this will be again implemented through your SOAP protocol. Okay, these are called SOAP-based APIs. Then your API will be established at this level, wherein which it will take all your data, by interpreting and composing this, by putting this functionality and leveraging that to web service API, and finally to the customer. So your SOAP-based API will be used like this, wherein which you can create one application, whatever you are on the web service. This is how your API will be generally built. It's a very simple example I told you, but in general, you have a lot of complexities will be there when you go for RAML, open APIs, RESTful services, lot of things involved in it. Okay? It's not that easy, but as a simple understanding, I have just given you this one. Okay, so when we going for the API, there are many approaches and many things are there. So which I don't want to discuss now, because those are more on the technical side. Okay, so on the API's common usage, I will give you some of the important part here. That means on the XML front, the APIs are majorly used for your OData 2 and OData 4 remote and messaging APIs, as I just shown to you. Only at these levels, we have to know on the API architectures. Okay. So as I said, I will be discussing on the API architecture. Now we are clear, right? What is API? How to design API? What are the different types of APIs are there? What is API first approach architecture, and why we need API? So these are the clarities we have now. Now, first thing is, generally any API when you build, it will operate on certain architectures. Okay, we have an more what we call I'll say that like it's a operating architecture for the API. So this operating architecture will have certain modes will be there. Okay. That means when you are operating an API, the API should trigger, right? The moment when you are asking that, hey, API, work on this particular task, and you're saying that, you should have a trigger, like a button kind of stuff, right? For API, what is that? It has certain mode that we call it as mode. That mode is what? Either your request driven, or it should be event driven. In some cases, both also will be there. So your APIs will trigger from one of the architecture, either from request or from event or from both also. Okay. So a request driven architecture is what? Nothing but it's based on your direct communication. Means service to, consumer to provider directly. Request, response immediately. Okay. It's a direct connection. That is what you are request driven. Once a request taken, it request will be responded and it will be coming back to it. But event driven is nothing but, in event driven, you have set of events will be there. You can see here. Here, set of events will be there. Okay. So you might be asking, what is event again? So event is what? Nothing but, I can say it's a small message. Okay. Event is a small message in the system. It will provide information about your business occurrence, how the business can happen. Okay. That is called event, a message in your system. Okay. And this event can be like a simple example to relate, it's a creation of order is there. It's an event in SAP HANA system, right? So the event is triggered, okay, to when I going for automation, it has to trigger, right? That means create an order has to trigger, right? So when it has to trigger, an event code has to trigger in the backend. That means you say create order in the front end is okay, but backend, who has to understand? System has to understand that event will have certain payload, some timestamps and product number. These are things are there. It has to trigger backend. Some coding has to run. Okay, that is called the coding, which is running, which is enabling your ECC or SAP HANA coding backend is called event producer. So that event producer will produce the set of events that needs to be triggered in the front end whenever the moment you are choosing the API at your event-based API. Okay, so that's how the event will trigger. Let me show you a simple thing here. So this is how you can see here. This is the event mesh. There's a pull variant kind of architecture, which I'm just. There's a push variant, pull variant kind of things will be. This is a pull variant. So in which the event provider number one here, this is firing an event number two. It's a message, right? So it is going to the event mesh. As I said, the event producer will be there, wherein which you have certain topics. Topics means nothing but your data that you want to send like that. Okay, that is called a topic here. So a topic can be anything like a business partner change, business partner creation, anything, whatever you do. This is all asynchronous communication. So this will be again queued, because everything will not go directly. It will be queued one by one here in your, and it will be rec to or webhook. So one by one, the queue will start execute further. Okay. So here the message can be actively picked by the event consumer. Okay. And the event mesh provides all your API to handle how it has to go one by one in your source environment to target environment. So this total communication comes from the event consumer triggering by pull queue. This is all a pull queue. Okay. So this is called how your pull variants happens in your event manager. This is all internal to system. It works on the front end. When you go, we will be directly working on the clicking of a API, we are doing that. But back end, how this system takes the APIs, putting your topics, making them queued, pull it to webhook, and then helping the service event consumer, and pushing that to the push event architecture. This is all pull event, right? So like this, we have many architectures internally are there in the event approaches, wherein which APIs depend on this architecture whenever you are going to work on the API management. Okay, so that is about the APIs architecture. Okay, now what are the most common APIs we use in our system? These are the ones which you have to know. That this is very important for you. Rest all are not required. So the most common APIs we use in SAP S/4HANA will be your REST APIs. These are the very, very highly we use these APIs. Okay, REST APIs, and after that we use the web APIs. These are the two important APIs which we will use as part of that. Okay, so what is this REST API? REST API is nothing but, whenever you want to refer certain dynamic content to be go as an interface with the web development, right? REST APIs allows that content to be rendered whenever it is requesting. So these particular REST APIs, they use a certain dynamic content wherein which they will be more on the server side, which will generate the data content in the website and send the content to the requested web browser. So all in the backend. The moment when you are, for example, you have seen that, right? I have gone to on Fiori website. I have gone some ID and password. In the moment I got certain Fiori tiles for my, right, let's say for our profitability segment or profit center, cost center. We have seen many APIs, right? So these are all working as what? Because the dynamic content of these individual apps has been stored as a RESTful services in the server side. The moment when I asked them to generate, then only it will generate into the website, and it will interpret the server's code and make the page available for the browser as a web browser to the user. That's how the REST APIs help us. Okay. And majorly why SAP is many of the Fioris or any thing that you're seeing is more on the REST APIs is because the performance, the interactions, the uniform interfaces, modifiability, visibility, portability, a lot of advantages are there on top of that, which are there as part of the REST APIs. But there are certain constraints also there, like for catchability level, layered system level, there are certain challenges also there, wherein which that time you have to go for certain other APIs as well. Okay. So that is about the REST APIs. And coming to web API, this is completely your web service API, which are adhere to your HTTP APIs, wherein which all URLs, HTTP methods, all these media types like video collections, micro formats, all the things you will go through your web APIs. Okay. So a RESTful in REST APIs means you have RESTful is also there. And RESTful and REST both are different. Right? RESTful web API will be created with the REST structure only. Okay, so these interfaces will be more commonly, like coming with your HTTP and URL-based scenarios in your OData. Okay, now I hope everyone knows what about OData, but just let me give you, because all REST APIs and web APIs mostly on OData. So OData is your Open Data Protocol, which we call OData. Open Data Protocol is nothing but called OData. So as I said, the name itself indicates it's an open protocol. Okay, which open protocol means it is open to what? It is open to the creation and consumption of your RESTful APIs in a normal way, in a standard way. Whenever you are going for RESTful services or REST services, you have to create an API in the OData, right? So to create that OData, your system should be ready to take that. That ready to taking of consumption and creation of REST APIs in your normal platform will be called as OData. Okay, so OData builds all your HTTPs, JSONs, XMLs, URLs, all these stuff, very easily in the OData environment, because of the environment is like that. Okay, in the OData. So this is about your different types of APIs. Now, quickly, let me show you some of the important things, like how you can test API, how you can activate the APIs in S/4HANA Cloud, how can you create your BTP-based extensions in this APIs. Let me show you that. So I'm sharing my screen in the system. So the first thing I said, right, testing the APIs in the SAP business architecture. So being as a functional consultant, as I said, we have now learned the APIs on the APIs on the Hawkeye view. Like we have seen what are APIs, different APIs, what different APIs we have, all these things we find it, right? Good. So how to find the API is the next important thing, when you go to the APIs, right? So we have to know when an API requirement is there, you have to know how to find the API first of all. And when you know the API, how to test the API. Okay. Yesterday I showed you like in one thing called Business Accelerator Hub. So in that we will view all the available APIs. Okay. So we can consume to build side by side as well on that. So let me show you how you can do that. Let me open the Business Accelerator Hub here. So this page, usually if you have login access, we can do it. Let me try with the login access I have. Without login, we can't do anything on this, because the moment when you search the API page of the business partners, you should be able to consume the API. You can able to see the retrieving of the API key. The key is important there. That is the one which you have to use it. So I'm logged into this. So if you want business partner API, just go for business partner. Search like this. See, this is the REST API. I told you, right? You can see the kind of APIs we are having. Also, this is a REST API. See, this is the Odata V4 API. See, almost all REST APIs in Odata. That's what I just told you now. You won't see other APIs. All REST and Odata. Okay. So for business partner API, for example, you can execute. For example, this is the business partner API. So on business partners also many APIs are there. See, you have to know what the API is for, because the business partner, the moment you search it right, you can get a lot of business partners. It doesn't mean that you can use anyone. You have to go to your section also. If you can see here, found in the section is important. Configure price code, returnable package management, data integration, like this. You have so many things will be there. So if I want something like in public cloud edition, for example, right? That one I have to choose it. There will be many things will be there. Your area you have to select, and then accordingly you have to do the business partner. See here, you have 1380 business partner APIs are there. Very bulk, too huge, right? So that is the reason I said you have to found it in a proper segment category, and then you will use it. For example, I want to use it only. These are all standard. I cannot edit. I cannot change. I have to just retrieve it. That's it. I'm showing you how you can retrieve your API key. So if you go to here, this business partner A2X, click on here. And if you can see here also, guys, you might be seeing this also. See here, it will tell you, first of all, what kind of action this particular API can do. See, create, read, update, or delete the master data for business partner, supplier, or customer using this. Okay, means the supplier or in the customer panels, no people who are on those access or authorizations, or supplier based master data, customer based master data kind of scenarios, and that scenarios when related to business partners. In that scenarios, these can be done with this API. Okay, so your API action is also given in this API panel. Okay, and you can see the latest release, when it is released, what is the version. Okay, and if it can be used in sandbox or not. So it's saying no sandbox, so you can directly use in development or something. Okay, so like this, you can have all details. If you go into the API, see here it have complete details about the API. I just show you the normal reference. Okay, you have this complete reference. Okay, so you can see the status type when it is modified. If you come down, you can see the communication scenarios. These are not required for us, but yes, where it is actually being used, you can see the scope items. These are all the different scope items on which this API has been leveraged, and you can also see that. Okay, master data integration, invoice processing, importing the connection setups, okay, lease and accounting, lease out accountings, all these areas, this API can be leveraged. Okay, this is the overview. If you go to the API reference, you can see there are different codes for this. If you can see this one, for all email address, fax number. So for every individual field, the API reference will be there. For that, you have get data will be there, post data will be there. Okay, these are all your different functions, operations you do as part of the API, so that they will take it out. You don't need to worry about this. And this is a schema of your API, wherein which you can see schema means the database or data fields in the database that are there. These are all the fields. If you go into one, you can see here, this is a schema which has been done like this. Okay, is a sample SAP's, schema code for this. Okay, and API consumption level, if you want to take the consumption of API, you can have to leverage BTP. I showed you, right? I told you right now. I'll just show you that one as well. And then cloud and Odata are there for the consumption steps. Okay, this is ABAP proxy. For Java, you have this one, and for JavaScript again, this one. So three different stacks, three different API consumption methodologies has been given here. Okay, so this is nothing but your documents and tryouts. This is the business documentation of the API, which you can see here. Complete business documentation of the SAP, it will connect for you. Okay. Yes, in the tryout, we generally have, when you have certain code to be tweaked and check it, code snippets, all these things, people who are into language, like who are knowing the programming, they can actually tweak this code by checking here in the postmans and all these things. And then they can try to, enhance the API also. That this is for them. Tryout is for, not for you. Okay. For us only, we have to know for what is this, and we have to ask them to leverage this one when we want to make it out. Okay. So again, as I said, we have to retrieve the key, right? If you go to the tryout, we'll go to this page, wherein which it will get these individual codes. Okay, so this particular API can be implemented through a Visual Code program. So you should have a Visual Studio, wherein which once you install the Visual Studio code program, and if you use that, there the REST client will execute your this API, and it will execute the get retrieving this command, okay, in the business partners. That is how generally this will be helping to you. Okay, but here we don't have that Visual Studio, all these things allowed to us. I'm just showing you what the API management part, what we can do. Okay, and the next one is I can show you the testing of APIs. No, because they need an administrator role. Let me check it whether the role is there or not for me, or else I'll try to add it. Yeah, this is extensibility system, right? Not allowing me. Hope it is there. I'm thinking so. Yeah, the admin rights are not there. Cannot show you this one. Let me, I'll try to show you a screen of that, how you can test that. Let me show you that. Okay, so for all this for all this APIs, thing, we need BTP, I told you, right? So BTP, I don't know whether you have BTP or that, but you can create a free account trail. I'm showing you how you can do that also. We have, in SAP, we have this thing is there. So like this, see, because I have already have this account. If you don't have your SAP account, account at sap.com, you should have an account. A free account you can create. You don't need any SAP. You don't need to buy anything. It's a free account. You have to log in with your email ID and password. So once this account is created, right, then you can leverage that, and you have a SAP free trial account is there. So you can go to that. Let me show you that also. So this is the account for your, okay, let me open the new tab. So the moment you logged in with your Gmail or something, this is the cockpit account, BTP cockpit account. So in this, because this is a trial version, you will be having all practical scenarios in this. You can try to do it, when you have time with this. Either US or Singapore, 2 zones has been created here. So any one zone you can create, and you can start, using your BTP cockpit. Okay, it's a Cloud Foundry API endpoint, and you have to use the business application BTP Stack Studio here itself only. For all any Cloud Foundry logging and everything here, you can make it from here itself. It's a global account. It can be valid for 15 days only. Okay, once you create it. So with this BTP account, what you can do, you can actually see the different APIs. You can actually full stack cloud applications. You can create the BTP's CAP, the BTP's mock servers, different API generations, API business partners. A lot of things will be there as part of this, wherein which you can see that. Okay, let me show you one such thing, and then I will go to the extensibility, because API is enough for us right now. Let this be completed. See guys, this I am not using any company account. I am also using a trial account. The trial has been created now. Okay, so with this trial, you can start. We have many tutorials are there, but yes, in trial we have very limited access is there. So wherein which you can do a lot of things from the BTP for business process automations, or even for ABAP kind of things, whatever you want to make it from there. Okay, especially APIs. This is what I want to show you. Whatever the APIs that you are using in the BTP, when you are on the public cloud or you are on the cloud environment completely, all your APIs will be definitely there on the BTP. So if you want to see the BTP, you have to come to this API BTP, wherein which you can see all your BTP just connected to your business access hub. So this is one such thing where you can leverage the BTP environment and use your things to understand the BTP APIs on top of it. Okay, so that's about API management. The next one is extensibility. So okay, let me get one thing for you. Okay, so the side-by-side by extensibility, this comes under, in SAP, we have a thing called side-by-side extensions generally. What are the side-by-side extensions? These are nothing but software applications. All side-by-side extensions or extensibility, whatever I'm discussing right now, these are all different software applications. Okay, when they are software applications, they have to run in the system, right? No, those are our software applications generally run inside the system. Okay, there are certain software applications, they run outside of the SAP S4 HANA cloud environment. Okay, but even though they run outside the SAP S4 HANA cloud, but they interact with the standard SAP APIs regularly. So when such applications which are interacting our SAP applications, but they run outside of the cloud environment, those are called your side-by-side extensions. Side-by-side means they are running outside but performing for inside. That is called side-by-side. Okay, so these you can see here, the potentiality of these things you can see here. You have in-app extensibility is there. You have your this is what I'm saying, your side-by-side extensibility in the BTP with different applications are there. These are integrated towards your systems. Okay, so these can run any application platform. That means SAP provided or recommended or dedicated platforms like SAP BTP or any other platform, because these side-by-side applications, basically these will be coded when they are coding itself only, in the programming itself only, they will be coded with the support to any stack. I told you, just showed you that 3 stacks: ABAP, Java, JavaScript. So whatever that you are writing in SAP side-by-side extension, that should support the 3 stacks. So these applications, programs, these particular software applications will be written in all the program languages to help on the portability concept. Means they run on any environment, okay, any platform. So that is what the total thing about your side-by-side extension. So as I said, it's a software application, right? So they run outside also. So sometimes they can be integrated with different levels of user application levels, logic levels, data levels also. They can be actually taken into the consideration. Okay. So the side-by-side extensions, when you have to go for this, the first question is, you might be confusing that, what is this I have told you? Now, when I have to go for side-by-side, because I already have certain things in my system. Now, if I want side-by-side extension, when I have to go? Okay, when your requirements are decoupled from the core application, or you have heavy integrations that needs to done through your APIs and replication services are there, then you have to go for the side-by-side extensions. Okay, or else your entire application stack has to run on separate platform or separate application layer. Then also you can use the side-by-side extensions, wherein it will help you like that. So these are like in a more helping you like a virtual model kind of thing also, wherein which they will help you through SAPs, but they will run outside, wherein which it will perform all your Odata, REST, SOAP, all protocols can be designed and supported, as possible as with your client landscapes. Okay, so this is what about your side-by-side extensibility. Now, as part of the business accelerator hub, you can see basically here, this is the one I just showed you right now, right? So if you go to the business accelerator hub, yeah, as part of your this particular business accelerator hub, and you go here. So for side-by-side extension, generally, we will go to the API references. Okay, I just showed you right just a moment back. So there are business accelerator hub, which will help you for all the development process, and for the application developers who want to build the mobile application integration, business to business third party system integration. So all these things when they want to do it, right, so they have to depend on this business accelerator hub only with the API references. As I said right now, if you go to the same business partner again, you go to any one business partner like that. So your API reference is there, right? So this is the one in which you will be taking the side by side. The side by side extensions will take this code. Okay, this codes it will generate the software applications based on this API references. This is the source for it. Okay, and using this business accelerator hub, you can actually explore all the APIs across the different extensions that you have for the particular side-by-side extension requirements. You need to produce for API interferences wherever you want it. Like for example, success factors, hybrids, BTP. So you need so many solutions on that. So all that you can actually do that from this single point of what I can say central point of the system, like business accelerator hub. Okay. And the next one, right? So here we can see this is a get is there, right? If you click on this get and see, just testing, I'm showing you. If you want two business partners, we can enter the value of 2 here instead of going for 50. Just showing you how you can test this business partner, guys. Okay, the parameter I limited from 50 to 2 here. Okay, immediately if you choose run here, this is how you test the extensibility APIs in the business accelerator hub. So you can see here only two, the number 2 will be there here. See here, the business partner category is 2. Okay, it has been, that means your API get request has been taken your request, right? So now once this is done, if you go here, you run, you get the key here. So you can actually get the specification. And once you set that right, this one you will use in the VB code programmer. I don't have the code programmer wherein which you can open the file and attach the key from there. The ODE, when we do the VB code programmer, you can see that VB code programmer execute whatever you have selected in the key. So that's how generally your APIs will be executed, okay, and tested in the extensibility options, okay, in the side-by-side extensibility options. Okay, back. Okay, guys, I'm back. Okay, now let me show you a demonstration of how we can activate the APIs in SAP S4HANA public cloud. It's a configuration thing. Let me show you that. From CBC, I will just enroll for it. We open this in the configuration pane. Take anything here because I just want to go to the Fiori URL there. Okay, so as I said earlier, to do any kind of configuration for the APIs, you should have the administrator role. I hope no one of you will have it even in your original cases also, until or unless special permissions are there. But yes, I'll show you what role you needed to do this. So if you go to the app of business users, you have to check your, for me, this is my ID, right? So for my ID, I have to check the access for that. So if you go into this, the assigned business roles, yeah. So this is the role, guys. If you can see here, these two, test automation and BR administrator. So these two roles should be there while you're doing this activation of your APIs in SAP S/4HANA Cloud environment. Okay. So these are the two roles which you have to check. If the roles are there, good. If roles are not there, you have to add it. Okay. And go back to home page to configure the activation thing in this S/4HANA public cloud. You have to go to the app called Maintain Communication Users. Do we have it or not? I don't know. Oh, this is Maintain Communication Users. This is the app, guys, which you have to go. Okay. When you go to this, you will be seeing new. Okay. Click on the new. This is the process what I'm showing you to activate your APIs as part of in-app extensibility. Okay. If you go to the user data, okay, you can give the user name there. Okay. And you can provide the rest of the information on top of that. So let me give it there. I'm giving stray underscore manager underscore 01 communication user for the stray. Okay, giving some password. Um, you can propose the password automatically or else do it. So this is the biggest password which is proposed, or else you can write your own password in case if you want it. Okay. So then simply create this. So as part of the API management, sorry, APIs activation, the first thing is you need the BR administrator role. And once you are done, you can go to the maintain communication user thing. And then you can just simply go and create the user here. Okay. So once the user is created, now go back there. One second. So now you have created the user, check the user, go back. The user is created, right? Now you have to create a communication system, okay, for your cloud instance, and you have to maintain your inbound communication. You have to assign this user in that system, and you have to make password for that. Okay, this is all for the active this API activation only, guys. What I'm doing here, the process, this is all the configuration only. Now go back to home page. So in the home page, you will be going to the app called communication systems. So in the communication systems, we are here. We have to go for new here because we have to establish a new communication system here, right? So for that, we will be writing something like this. S4 HANA, right? So S4 Cloud 001. Okay, something like that. The same system ID will be captured as system name here. Simply create. Okay. Now we have to provide this host detail. This is where I am also limited now. So we can provide your host system, host details, everything here. Let me take some from the here. I'll take a host from here. This is already there. Yeah, this is the host. And 443 is the port, right? So let me give the same host number here. Generally, these hosts are very confidential, so be careful while doing this. Okay, so we have to provide the business system name also. So this is what I told. This is all admin-based kind of activity where you should be very careful while doing this. Okay, so provide this S4 Cloud 001. Same thing here. What you have provided there. So this is the general information. Enough. Not required everything here. Just go to the inbound communication here. So in the inbound communication, you have to provide the authentication method for your APIs. Okay, so just go here. So provide this authentication method username and password. So from here, you can select that one. You will be having certain user IDs and things there here. Just check the one which we created. This is the one, Strive Manager. So we have to attach this manager, this user to the communication system, right? So whatever I created, now I have attached that. Okay, ma? So simply say okay. And now go for for inbound communication, I have mapped my user ID and password, right? Now go for outbound communication. Inbound means for which it is coming. Outbound means from our system it is going, right? So the same thing also we will be giving the username and password. So outbound, we should not give the same thing. This is a different thing, right? So I have to provide another ID and password here. Like I'm giving here something like dummy password. Let's say I'm giving India @123 hash create. Okay, ma. So once you are done the general inbound, outbound, you have to save it. Okay. So why I'm doing all these things? To activate an API in the S4 HANA cloud, you should have a communication for your inbound and outbound. That is what I'm configuring now. Okay. To have this inbound, outbound, you need to have a separate user. So that user we created earlier, right? Step by step, I'm going. So now save this. Okay. So once we are done with this thing, so in the API Business Hub, whatever the morning I told you, right, in the API Business Accelerator Hub, so we have to search for the proper API to perform certain read operations, same like business partner, which we use it, right? So we have to identify a proper communication scenario for the API. So that's what I'm going to do that now. So let me go to the API.business hub now, again, one more time. Again, searching for business partner. Okay, go down and see our public cloud one, which we use in the morning. Okay, select this one. Okay, we go to the overview here. You can see there are some communication systems are there. See, communication scenario is there, right? So this is what the scenario is for. You can see here There are many communication scenarios are there. So let's choose this one. Business partner, customer, supplier integration. So this is one such communication scenario which we can configure as part of our activation of API. Okay. So these are many communication scenarios are there. Let's select that one. Okay. SAP COM 008. Okay. Now come back here into our app and then go back to home page. Again, we have to do this communication API activation, right? So for this, you have to go for communication management. So now here we will be adding this particular communication scenario into our arrangement. Okay, go to new. So here it will be asking you about that communication scenario. Okay, so select the scenario and select the business partner for that. One second. Yeah, the system is getting locked sometimes. So we'll try because these are standard ones only. So that is the reason it should come. But I don't know. Ours is a sandbox, right? I'm not sure about that, but I'm trying here. So we have to go and search the scenario here. Yeah, it's there. So in the arrangement name field, we have to give our manager. That means whatever we created, right? Stream manager that you have to give. Stream manager, something like that. Okay, and simply create it. We will configure. Just wait. So in the communication system here, our arrangement common data has been configured. You can see the scenarios, everything has been configured here now. Now the communication system we have to select. So which one we will be selecting? Our 001, which we created just 5 minutes back. So here, these are already two. Now this is the one I just created, right? So select this one. Just hold on. Still configuring. Okay. If you go down, these are having some inbound services are there and some outbound communications are there and outbound services are there, right? See, there are many replications and outbound services are there. If there are any outbound services are there, you have to deactivate because we are creating new one right now. So for that, you have to do that. So let me do this for you. We have all outbound services. This is the new one. There are no other outbound services for us for now. See, our outbound communication user is also configured now here. Dummy are given last time, right? So your application port, our path, everything you have to check it out here. Okay. So for this, first of all, for the outbound services, first deactivate this one. Okay. This is replicate customers. Now for replicate suppliers, you have to activate. Go down. So this is also we have deactivate. These are all outbound communications only. So wherever the replications are there for the outbound, you have to deactivate it because we are newly creating our new communication method here. So we are deactivating it and then we'll activate later on. Okay, once we are done all these, just recheck the checkboxes and then finally activate this. Save this. All right. So once this is activated, now go back. If you go to top, slowly go to top. See, there were new URLs created. See here, or for my business partner, new see business partner A to X. This is the one we added, right? So for this, what happened? The API is activated, right? This is how your new URL got generated for your API. This is how you activate the API in the S4HANA cloud. Now, once this is activated, what we have to do for this? So we have to just simply copy the URL of this business partner service in the web browser. Okay. And then we have to, in the web browser, we have to open this URL. Simply, you have to do the user ID password, which we created earlier. Okay. So that will be your, it will open your data for that. So let me show you that. You go here. I have generated that password differently. I don't remember that also. I have to go back and stick this. Yes, here see it's asking user ID and password, right? So here you have to give that ID and password. If you go back, now what is the communication user, right? Let me go into that, check that ID and password. Communication user, maintain this one. I'll give like this. India at the rate 12345 something. It should be 20 characters. Oh my god. I'll copy this one. Yes, and then save this because that's a dynamic password, right? And then I strive underscore manager underscore 01. So your user IDs and password should be properly given, and that should be as short as possible for the betterment of these kind of things only. Okay, then simply sign in. That's it. This is your XML file. This is a API file, which will be generated. This is shows that your service is active. Your API is active. Okay, once you generated this. So this is how you activate the APIs in the SAP's S4HANA public cloud. And that is how you configure that for the configuration. So this is our total of your configuration and activation of your APIs. Okay, clear? Then, as I said, in the in-app extensibility, basically all in-app extensions are technically implemented inside the what I can say the core of the SAP S4HANA. Okay. So what happens, because the name itself indicates in-app extensions. So in-app extensions means all inside of your S4HANA. Okay. So no remote communication between the extensions and the extended app is required for that. Okay. And you have your user interface adaptations, your custom field logic, CDS views, Odata APIs. So all these can be done through your in-app logics only as part of the in-app extensions. Okay. So that is about your in-app extensibility. Okay, so that's about the in-app extensibility side-by-side extensions API management.